flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Minutes from September the 11th, 2012. Carla Johnson called the meeting to order after the Pledge of Allegiance. The minutes from the last meeting were read. Ruth approved the minutes and John seconded. June read the financial report with Ruth approving and John seconding. Underwater, Jeff Mosley from Indiana American Water was at the meeting. He told the board that Indiana American had approved taking care of the water treatment plant. Indiana American can do all of the water testing and backflushing. This can be done with a signed contract between the town and Indiana American Water. The town would have to pay Indiana American Water the same amount as currently paid to Danny Chastain, which is $400 twice a month. Also, they would not take care of any water line breaks, but would recommend a company that they've used in the past with good outcomes. The company is Langford Excavating out of Terre Haute. The reading of the water meters would still be the responsibility of the town. Also, if the town has to buy, for example, a new pump, it would be added to the town's assets, and we would be paid for the pump if and when Indiana American buys the water company. Jeff Hansen had emailed the town copies of the water bill to show the comparable rates. At 5,236 gallons, Merom would be $56.71, and Indiana American Water would be $45.82. For 2,244 gallons of water, Merom would be $31.99. Indiana American Water would be $27.95. Also, Jeff Hansen had emailed a list of possible choices for doing the appraisal for the water company. June called Jane Cleveland with Cleveland Environmental Engineering for a quote for the appraisal. She called back the quote of $6,000. Richard Birch of Midwestern Engineers out of Lagodi and Eric Smith out of Hana, Wagle and Klein Engineering in Terre Haute haven't returned phone calls yet. Jeffrey Mosley told the meeting that Merom would need 2 engineering appraisals and 1 appraisal for the land where the wells are and the water plant and where the water tower is. June contacted Brian Hazelrigg about the land appraisal, and he gave a quote of $500. But that the land where the water tower is needs to be separated from the town property. The property where the water tower is will have to be surveyed, and the decision will have to be made about how much land goes with the water tower and the right-of-way or easement granted. Water leaks brought up for adjustment with Joanne Pierce, which had happened earlier, had been fixed and was approved. Byron and Mary Hoseman, which was approved. Paul Kay's leak wasn't approved as his situation is a leak in a water hose which is hooked up to the yard and ran through the house. The board said that as he doesn't have a working water system in his house or a working bathroom, he will not be approved for adjustment. Brett Nails of Hudsonville, Illinois, had supplied the board with a list of what he would need to take on the job of water supervisor. After hearing what he wanted, the board decided not to hire Mr. Nails and told June to write a letter to him stating that he would not be hired. Merom he asked for money to do all that he wants. Jeffrey Mosley said that the well fields need mowed and the trees are growing where they shouldn't. June will contact Christie about cleaning up the well fields. He went to mow them once and got lost. Under streets, Rex McKinley is still not able to do work, so June needs to find someone else to clean out the ditch at 4th and Phillips. June contacted the Indiana Department of Transportation about getting a grant for sidewalks, and now she gets email from INDOT. They want an inventory of our ADA curb ramps and sidewalks. She can do the questionnaire online. There is a website that had the necessary sizes for sidewalks and curbs. John suggested contacting Jim Wampler and Tim Cox to get estimates for the work. June wrote a letter to Hoosier Energy asking for money to replace the sidewalks along Highway 58 between Poplar Street and Phillips, basically the Methodist Church and High Point Church. Under cemetery, donations have been made to the cemetery operating fund. Rowena Flath, $100, and Betty Skinner of $100. Also, Jay Wardlow of Jay's Lawn Care said last week he would donate $100 of his mowing fees to the cemetery. He has since been in a motorcycle accident, and nothing has been done about it yet. Christian has been told to spray the Johnson grass and weeds in the drive of the cemetery. Under parks, the park closed at 11 sign on the north end of the bluff entrance has been stolen. Rex McKinley won't be able to do the work on the bluff wall. John suggested calling Jim Mockler or Tim Cox to get estimates for the work. There are mower holes next to the bluff wall after recent rains. June met with Jeremiah Lemons of the DNR Forestry Division. He recommended that one tree be taken out as soon as possible, maybe two later. The tree that is in bad shape is near the playground equipment and small shelter house. We need to replant with 5-year-old trees, older, and the root ball will have been damaged and moved to the bluff, and it would take several years for the roots to recover. He agreed with the tree choices of persimmon, pecan, hickory, and walnut. He also suggested bald cypress. All these trees are native to Indiana. In old business, new business, Carl asked June to contact Deborah Sheckler about sending a letter to the State Board of Accounts about the letter sent to the town stating that if the bill for past audits wasn't paid, and that the state would withhold part of our tax settlement to the town. Letters to be sent to Merrim citizens for violations on unmowed lawns. It was Bonnie Sowers, Tom Thompson, The Workshop, Lisa Simpson, Randy Moon, Mr. Stidham, Ross Gettinger, Caitlin Brown, Jack Gettinger. Letter to Morris's about the boat and cars in the yard. A lien on Ike Cox's 5th Street property at Eves Road. Prisoners will be in town next week. The conference center will feed them on Wednesday. Norma said she'd feed them on Tuesday. Jim will line up donors for the rest of the week. Wabash Valley Heat and Gas sent a letter with fuel options, was decided to use the same option as last year, and Carla adjourned the meeting.
Are there any corrections or additions? I'll second.
Okay, on the financial report, the general fund has $1,638.91. The NBH has $7,263.11. Local roads and streets has $526.77. Recreation has $1,650.33. The building fund has $519.84. The riverboat has $5,688.88. Rainy day has $1,257.10. The cumulative cap improvement has $720.83. And CEDA has $10,728.81. And we've gotten checks from the state this week.
Any corrections or additions to that?
Oh, water has $42,076.71, and cemetery has $33,685.01.
Water? You have anything?
I just came this month to check in and see where you guys were, or if there's anything I can do to help, or any questions I can answer. Thought I'd show up.
I met with Gina Swift, with Hannah and Waggle and Klein, and she took copies of the maps that was down there like you guys had used, and some of the paperwork from '93 that showed the specifications on everything that was being, how they were building it, and all the specifications of what went into it. And she is going to get back with us at the end of next week with a quote on what the appraisal would be after we've gotten all the information. The only thing I've got to look up is where we had the inside of the tank treated. She wanted to know all the improvements. And the only thing I haven't found yet is where we had the inside of the tank taken care of. But I'll have that to her, and I've got her email to send it to her. Yeah, the water tower. They did the outside last year, the inside the year before that.
We may even have some of that because we reached out to
Larry.
Payne. We may even have some stuff from Larry that would help you all see, and we'll get that to you if we already have it. And so Richard hasn't gotten back with anything yet. Richard Bird,
No.
Midwestern.
We've added a new household. We've got McKees moving in over here, and Shipleys have moved out, but they're gonna keep the water on. One of the meters that I had to have turned off this week in the middle of all the rain, Christian did something too much or something, but it started a leak, and Danny had to come in the rain and fix it. I'm very happy. That's all I've got on water. Since then, the prisoners have went down and done a bunch of clearing and mowing, and Christian's supposed to go back down, but with the rain ever so often, I'm afraid to send him down because I don't want him to get stuck.
Okay.
That's all I've got.
I guess it's anything you guys want me to help with as far as trying to push Richard if you want to, or if you just want to wait and get a price from Hanwell and Klein and then decide from there what you want to do.
Maybe we need three or.
No, you only need three appraisers. One has to be an engineer, one has to be a real estate appraiser, the third should be an engineer, because that's where the real value is in the pipes. So if you get Judy and Hanwell and Klein, Hanwell and Klein comes in even at about the same price as Judy, and then time you add the 500 for the real estate, you still had a number that we got an agreement that we said we should pay for the appraisal to get done at that price. So if they come in around the same price, you're okay.
Okay.
And either one of them, Hanwell and Klein will do a good job. I actually saw Eric Smith from Hanwell and Klein last week at the IAC conference. So, and I saw Richard Birch also, and I asked him if he called you guys. So if he was
Yeah, I
supposed to be
called,
busy.
but he never called back.
Okay.
He is busy. Do you want me to call Max to get the survey done for the land under the water tower?
Yeah. Mac.
Max? You know what I mean.
And what you can do, if you want, it's up to you, is we just acquired the new Whiteland system. And what we did is they just included like half an acre, 3/4 of an acre, and they just put a value on that for the appraisal. And then once we decided that they were going to go forward and sell the utility, then we actually paid to get the survey done of the actual survey and define where it was going to be. So if you don't want to spend the money right now to get a survey done, you can just let that go and just say that this is how you're going to handle it, that it's going to include, unless the appraisers include the value.
And you'll let us know how much area you will in.
Yeah, when you get ready to meet with you, once you decide to appoint the appraisers, then we can come meet with the appraisers and talk about that, and I can look at what we did at New Whiteland. A lot of it is, yours is easy because it's close to the road, so, and I don't really want to interfere. I know there's some electric panels there near that entrance to the park that I think you use for your festivals and stuff. So I don't really know that we want those power panels being on, I don't think they need to be on property we own, so we can just own the property around the tank and then have an access easement to others, so that way you still have the right to control that.
Okay.
If that makes sense to you, but
Would you guys want a fence around the bottom of the
we
tower?
probably will fence around it. That's why we need to confine how much we're gonna own, so that way we can fence what we own and have access around the rest, so it doesn't interfere with what the town wants to do with the properties.
Okay.
'Cause I just don't want you, if you wanna get a survey done, you can. I just
No,
don't want
that's
you to spend money you don't need to, because we can do that. Once we know the appraisal comes in and everybody wants to go forward with it, then we might as well spend the money to get ready to close and all
Okay.
that.
Thank you. Do you have anything under parks?
The bid for cutting down the tree that I got from Jay's Lawn Care was $800. I've talked to Jackie Gettinger about Dearman Improvement paying for half of that. She said she's gonna bring it up at the next meeting. We planted 2 persimmon trees up there. They were donated by Fay and Bonnie Pearl.
Okay. And it's that one gnarly tree in the middle, right?
It's the one closest to the playground equipment and that little shelter house, and it's leaning towards them.
It hasn't had leaves on it for several years.
Well, this one's got some leaves on it, but it's the closest one, but if you get up there, it's all hollow on the inside, you can see. And,
Jim, do you still need another persimmon? True.
yeah,
Okay. So it's
well, these are, and he told me it'd be best to plant them in the spring,
oh,
but
okay.
I knew I needed Tim Cox does, but he's been working out of town right now. And I can't send the letter to Use Your Energy asking for money till I know how much I need,
Right.
so.
You guys have any plans to fix the sidewalk in front of my house? Or at least rip it out? Where that main brick was? Because it's pretty bad right now.
It's horrible.
Jump out down here.
Yeah, where, when they had the fire over here,
Yeah.
the main road.
Yeah. The property owner usually rips them out.
Yeah.
I hate to say that.
It's true.
It's interesting here, but it's sidewalks, you have to leave space to come back. I irritated somebody one day when I told her that, but. Cemetery.
I don't have anything new under cemetery. He got all the Johnson grass sprayed and the prisoners cleaned that big gully out. Yeah. I'm gonna have Christian go ahead, because I know several months ago, after I started, I was told to get those big planters off of those posts and get them knocked down, so we can get that done.
Get the post, the things knocked down?
You taking the post out?
Why?
Have you looked at them?
I know the
One
concrete of
that
the,
needs repair or something, then.
You mean the whole post or just the top of it?
The whole thing.
Really, they're that bad?
well, I know, I looked at the planters, the
The
other
planters
planters
off,
off,
and
and
they're
they,
afraid some,
They're gonna fall off and hurt
Yeah.
somebody. I mean, long.
No, can't. Replace them.
I like to see them replaced up at the front of the house.
So is it the park over here?
No,
Cemetery.
What would it cost to get them repaired?
I can find
Be like
out.
a bricklayer.
Is it, yeah, I mean, would be expensive?
I don't know, I can find out. I'm gonna hold those Tim Cox and have him give me an estimate on doing that too, while he's doing the other. I don't know that we can go much more because of the width of vehicles anymore. We
Right.
can't go out a whole lot.
No, yeah, no, I meant just repair them.
Yeah, repair.
I don't know, but I hate to see them torn down without at least getting
You know, as
a
far as I know, there was never anything put in those plans that said.
Oh, I'm not talking about the planners, I agree with those planners are, they've never done it, nobody's ever done it.
Dick Olson was going to one time,
Yeah,
But
but
it
the,
didn't make sense, they're too tall to put anything in. Repair it.
yeah.
no, that's,
But you know, we could get like, if we're like, you know, keep something there or even put something at the entrance like it was, like the front. Because you get Brampton Brick to donate the brick. And then, you know, have somebody, to put it up. I mean,
It would be nice to have something nice at the entrance, and
Yeah.
a nice sign that didn't say about.
Oh, and there is no news on the cemetery.
well, that's,
I know, but
there is, yeah, because there's no way you can figure out exactly when the cemetery was.
I know, but we should, then, to me, it just should have said Mirror Cemetery
Oh, yeah,
instead of established about.
right, I didn't sign it back, yeah.
But under cemetery, my friend Donna has got a new cemetery program for the computer that we can go in and do mapping and get it all caught up to date.
That would be
And she
wonderful.
bought that at her own expense. Donna's wonderful.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, we get everything
Yeah.
entered in, we'll be doing good.
That would be great. We would be most appreciative.
Hopefully this could be a nice winter project. Not winter, but not.
well, as far as that date's concerned, nobody was asked about it, or about the sign or anything else. It was
No.
just done.
I was asked when the cemetery started, and I, you know, when she, I didn't realize she was gonna put it on a sign, or I wouldn't have said, because I did say it was about such and such, because that's about when it was. But I didn't realize it was gonna go on a sign. I would have said, I probably would have said, you know, that year, because
And
who
nobody
knows?
would argue
Yeah,
that.
nobody else.
Yeah, exactly. Who know, I mean, you know, yeah. But
I
we,
mean, I would love to have something that says, if we're gonna say established, just say established 1862.
Sure,
not
right. Yeah, yeah. Because see, there are tombstones, old, I mean, there are people's, okay, older than that in there, but they were moved
18.
from the Massey Cemetery.
Right.
Massey Cemetery, so that, I mean, that, so you can't go by that, because they obviously died before 1862, but they were moved from that cemetery to this one.
Oh, and I did
Yeah.
forget
Too bad you can't change that.
something
If we
on,
got a new nice sign, we could change it.
Yeah, there we go.
something on water. Debbie Horn wants her water from July adjusted, because she used 12,180 gallons, and she said there's no way that she could have. I had went out and checked the meter, and everything was right, everything's been good since then. I suggested maybe she was putting water in her pool, but she told me she wasn't.
I think it would be, I'd turn that one.
Okay, this is October.
Well, she had told me back then that she thought there was a problem. I looked at the meter,
But when you went by her swimming pool was always full.
And,
well,
and
she
she didn't have a leak.
she'd have to keep water in it. And if it evaporated, it's
Well,
not
that's
the
the thing
same.
about,
And she doesn't have a leak.
Mm-mm.
you know, I'd say no.
I agree with her.
And the Merriam Conference Center had another leak inside of Gevinger House. This was totally different from the last one. This one was the ice maker line to the refrigerator, and it had gotten so deep, I was in there, it was up to the 5th step. And they asked for an adjustment. The other was the hot water heater, and they replaced the hot water heater. So, I don't know, they don't go over there.
I was gonna say, they often check those houses more often,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, you know.
I mean, I don't have a problem doing it with the stipulation that it's checked on a regular basis. I mean,
It's just common sense.
yeah,
It was,
I mean, that had to take a long time to come through that whole thing. Don't argue with me, water people.
I'm not saying anything, I'm just
Well, they didn't get it, 'cause I don't have one.
We got notification that our budget was approved.
Oh.
Not what we wanted,
Not
but
what
they
we
decided.
wanted, but-
Well, you knew what was what you wanted.
I got my hands slapped at the budget meeting.
And she did ask for more money than we were gonna get.
Yeah.
Well, you try, what else can you?
Well, everybody else did.
Yeah, everybody else does that too.
I asked for 49,000, we're getting 22.
That's a blessing, huh?
Did you ask Debbie about that letter?
I did, and she was gonna contact them, and I made a copy somewhere of what I sent back whenever I sent the next payment in, asking them that I want these issues addressed about, was there ever any notification ever sent? And I forget what the letter read, and I printed one off and I couldn't find it today. But I sent it with the bill that I haven't gotten, because now they're sending us a monthly bill. But it's down. So
That we got our
it's still,
tax money from the state,
huh?
but we got our tax money.
Yeah, we're still getting our money, but I'm still sending $500 a month back to Indianapolis to cover that.
What do we want to do?
So I was trying to think of $6,445. We've got it almost halfway paid off.
I still would like to know if bills were sent for that,
Nashville, Indiana, is a city and town clerk, treasurer, city clerks, and city controllers accounting and budget workshop that I want to go to. It's,
That crazy thing in Nashville.
it's free. And,
Free, that's a good thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
except for the gas going over.
Oh, yeah.
And it said in there somewhere that if it's over 50 miles, yeah, for each official who is 50 miles or farther, they can spend the night at a hotel. And I was so excited because I thought, state's going to pay for it. And then I read farther, state ain't paying for it.
They're giving you permission to stay and if you pay for it?
Yeah.
Well, that's nice
Well,
of them, then.
The town would,
Jeez.
the town would have to would reimburse us.
I know, but what do you?
Yeah, but they don't reimburse if it's less than 50 miles. But
But they will reimburse for mileage?
the state won't.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
The town has to.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's nice of them to tell you you could stay and then the
Well, what they're saying, there's a stipulation that if it's over 50 miles, then the town can pay you back. But if it's less than 50 miles, like if you were going to Sullivan for a meeting,
Yeah.
obviously, you know, you couldn't step right over there in the hotel.
Well,
I mean, you could, but the town would not, you know, reimburse you for that.
or the Lysol to go into that room.
Yeah.
Please don't put that in the paper.
It's not going to be in the paper.
That is everything I got.
Yes. I'll be a dirty bird. But I suggest now is a good time to have a new ordinance to keep horses, pigs, and chickens out of town. And cows, as of today.
So you gotta formally do an ordinance.
Yes. Well, she has them, but,
No, I mean, I'm asking you, that's what you gotta do.
yeah, but we need to, especially when somebody's got horses that's starving to death. Sometimes they're next to a restaurant, they burn the horse manure. The people around it have to smell it. They aren't down there right now, so I think now's a good time.
No, we don't have cows right
We
now.
don't have any cows, or the nose for the pig. Yeah, there's chickens.
Family.
Brown still have chicken.
Oh, down here?
Down here,
Oh, that I don't know.
they did have, so
I
I think
enjoyed,
now's a good time to put a stop to it.
I enjoyed any of these roosters.
Well, I like to hear it too, but
I don't think we can exclude roosters from the livestock thing. I go along with that if you want to see how that is, what we need to do.
And we need an ordinance for the water too, don't we?
Well, yeah, if you know who you're going to appoint as the appraisers, then if you get that resolved before your next monthly council meeting, then she can have an ordinance for you to pass.
Okay.
That says you're going to pursue the process and you're going to appoint these appraisers and here's who the appraisers are and that you expect them to come back with an appraisal within 45 days or whatever and get them started. And we've given June and Debbie, we've gone over with Debbie the agreement that we're willing to sign that says we'll pay for the appraisal ourselves, so.
I think we've all seen that.
And it's pretty open-ended, we're just saying we'll pay for it, it doesn't even say if you decide not to sell, you don't owe us the money back, so we're willing to take that risk to pay for it, get it done. Before we're talking about water, the other thing I did want to clarify is the guy decided that he is going to stay and run the plant, or do you know yet?
You didn't answer this.
That he is still showing up and doing the work. Okay. Well, we have, I'll get an agreement ready and have it for you to review, and then you pretty straightforward. It just says we're not gonna take any environmental liability in case there's anything that is not operating properly. We'll notify any things that are going on. As Jeff said, last time, if you have to spend any substantial money on it, then it'll get added to the appraisal and you'll get reimbursed for that. And we'll come down and do what needs to be done with a certified operator and sign the reports and do the backwashing and do all that stuff.
I know she's asking one of the lots of answers.
Yeah, I understand. I just try to see if you can know anything more.
Anybody else have anything?
Being no objections, corrections, briefing motion to stand the bread. So ordered. We'll begin tonight with John L. Warren.
I didn't have anything for you personally, but Toby's here on the lease arrangements that we had with his company on the Westport properties, and I think he wants to say something. So you want to go ahead
I just have a couple of questions for you all. My question is the county ready to take complete the judicial steps necessary to confirm title in the name of the county on the mineral properties that you all leased to my company? And once we get that, once you establish that, then I need to know that once that's completed, you will ratify my lease as to that title once it's completed.
As you know, when we agreed to enter into the lease agreement with them, we didn't guarantee title or anything. Now, what they have run into, and Tim, you'll be real familiar with this, is those mineral lease that were in Westport's name are still in Westport's name, except for a few parcels that were sold at tax sales. So the real question is the county going to try to acquire Westport's mineral rights because they have failed to pay the property taxes for at least 2 or more years? Or the property, I should say, has been in the tax sale for the last couple of years and hasn't sold. This is a process Tim met with the county council about, and I was a part of that meeting, I want to say last January or February, I've honestly forgotten when, but it's going on a year, in which we explained to the council that property that has been through 2 tax sales and hasn't sold, that the county could petition to get a tax title deed. And then once the county gets a tax title deed, the county can turn around and have an auction of it its own and sell it. There are 1 or 2 people here tonight that are interested in buying some of that property. The county council only wanted to do 10 or 12 of them on just an experimental basis. Councilman Brian Pound said he thought there was well over 100 parcels of property in Sullivan County that have been through 2 tax sales and haven't sold. And the reason they don't sell at tax sales is because the tax, tax delinquency and all that kind of stuff has built up so high, no one's willing to spend that kind of money to buy the property. But the advantage then when it doesn't sell of it going through the county basically writes off those property taxes. That clears that property of the property taxes. And so that's what makes it attractive to someone to want to buy it. And for example, these 10 or 12 pieces of property I'm working on now, we've got everything done. We've got to have Tim come in and sign them all. We've got to file them all. We've got to send notice by certified mail to anyone who had an interest in that property. And after 30 days, then we can ask the court to grant our motion to direct Brenda as the auditor to issue a tax title to Sullivan County. And so not only does it wipe out any liens, judgments, encumbrances, mortgages, it also wipes out the taxes. So there's nothing against it. And so I predict this will happen towards the latter part of November. And in December, we can actually have a sale. We can conduct it ourselves for these 10 or 12 parcels of property. And all we have to do is set a minimum price as to what the abstract work cost us and what the legal work cost us. And it either brings that price or it doesn't sell. And I'm wagering that all of them will probably sell. But the county council only wanted to do that on an experimental basis. So when we have that and we have it done, we'll have something to report to the county council. But there's literally 100 or more other pieces of property out there in the county that would qualify. Now, what Toby is talking about in particular is the same thing. It's not a piece of property with surface acres, it's mineral interest. So the county could go after and acquire the mineral interests that were held by Westport. And at some point in time, we get a tax title deed to that, of which we could turn around and sell or lease or whatever the case may be. But they have a lot of parcels of ground, a lot of parcels where they have the mineral acres, a lot more than 10 or 12. So it is going to be an absolutely huge undertaking, something that probably take up to a year to get done. When I go back to the county council, I'm going to ask them, and after they see how these 10 or 12 parcels have sold, if they want to do this on a large scale. Because this is the only way that we're going to get a large number, if not all of these number of parcels, back on the tax rolls. They're in a situation now where the taxes are so far in arrears, nobody's going to buy it for anything.
How much is the taxes on this, though, this Westport?
I have no idea.
It's a whole bunch.
You'd be
There's
wiping
several
off.
properties.
Yeah, but it's not, you're not ever going to collect it,
So, I
in my
plan on-
opinion. Now,
But I mean, we'd be giving it away then, unless you bought it.
unless I buy it or develop it, and that was our deal with the commission here, was to develop the property.
But I'm going to approach the county council.
The mineral, now, this is not surface interest.
And this was really Tim's idea, about a full-scale project to get these properties in the county's name, because that's what wipes out the prior taxes, and then get them sold to private individuals and back on the tax rolls. But you're looking at a full-time job for someone for 2 or 3 years. And I would tell the council I would do that, and I would hire a paralegal or a secretary who would do nothing but sit there every day and work on county properties. But it's gonna be a 2 or 3 year long project. And I'm not willing to do that unless they're committed to putting forth the full effort to do it. The reason we've been so slow in getting these 10 or 12 done right now, and it was January or February, I think, when we talked to the council, is simply because I just had to try and do it in my spare time. And as you can see, it's taken the rest of this year for me to get to the point even where we're ready to file the petitions for the tax title deeds. So this is the kind of thing that Toby is talking about here. They want to market the Westport property. They've got a lease from the county to do that, but as I've indicated along, we have no ideas to the status of that title. We haven't employed abstractors to research them or anything else.
Well, we have an idea of the status of the title now.
Yeah.
There's no vesting document into the county, so consequently, our lease is not worth anything until that title is subsequently confirmed in the county.
Until the county gets a tax title deed for the mineral interest on all this Westport property. Well, whether or not the county wants to do it is up to you guys and up to the county council. And I'm actually saying all this property, I mean, if we're gonna make a concerted effort to get all this non-producing, non-tax paying property back in the hands of private citizens so the property taxes aren't paid, we need to get at it rather than just jerk around with 10 or 12 pieces of property. It needs to be a full-scale effort. And so it's just a question of whether or not the county wants to do that. And I think it should, because otherwise we're just sitting there. Well, these properties go more delinquent, more delinquent, more delinquent, and nothing ever happens that affects the chain of title, vesting it in the county so the county can do something with it. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Elmore, please correct me. Am I mistaken in thinking, is it now or was there ever a statute on the books, that when you see one of these, a property that's up for sale, like I read the legals when these are posted in the paper, and some of these have gotten up to like 100,000, which probably isn't anything compared to what you're talking about. But I'm thinking, how did the taxes get that high on a piece of property without someone paying their taxes? But why would I want to go in and pay the taxes on this piece of property? I'm thinking that person can come back in within a certain length of time and reclaim that property by paying the taxes, and I would be out.
No,
Is
You
that
wouldn't lose anything,
not the
ma'am.
case?
no.
Now, I know that's not what I'm, but is that
Now,
not the
What you're
case?
thinking about is a tax sale.
Mm-hmm.
If you buy property at a tax sale, like the county just had a property tax sale October 5th.
Mhm.
If you buy property at a tax sale, you get a certificate. And whoever the owner of that property is has a year to redeem it. They have to
Okay.
pay up the back taxes, they have to pay a percentage to you, as well as abstract attorney's fees, etc. Now, this process works a little bit different in that up until the year 2007, property that went through 2 consecutive tax sales and did not sell became the county's property for the asking. You didn't have to comply with anything. That all changed in 2007. The Indiana legislature changed the law. Now, the county has to do something similar to what they have to do at a tax sale, except instead of waiting a year to see whether or not the owner redeemed the property, you only have to wait 4 months, 120 days, because there's preference given to governmental units. So, so there is a difference. If you go to a tax sale and buy the property, you have to pay the delinquent taxes, plus anything else that goes with it. The only thing that wipes out is judgments, liens, or mortgages. It doesn't wipe out the tax. You still have to pay the tax. But when the property goes through the county, the taxing unit, under the law, it has the specific ability to basically write off those taxes. It can drop its demand for taxes. And therefore, when you see some of this property that's old junk property and junk laying around on it, and the back taxes are $7,700, you aren't going to find anyone in their right mind going to give you $7,700 for that junk piece of property, and then have to clean it up on top of that. So this allows a way that $7,700 is just forgotten. It's just charged off, like
So once it's
like
gone through
a bad debt.
2, and there's
I'm
a
sorry?
piece of, once it's gone through 2,
Once it's gone through.
and there's a piece of property out there, and if they're not interested and the mine's not interested, but there is a piece of property out there that I'm interested in, I can outbid either one of them, or I can buy this small
Yes.
piece of property, then it's mine, and I don't have to worry
And
about
so
that person
when-
coming back and.
Right.
pay.
So
Okay.
when the county gets a tax
Okay.
title deed to a piece of property, they can turn around and sell it. And this is what we're gonna do with these 10 or 12 parcels we're doing now. We're gonna have an auctioning in here one night and say, who wants this piece of property, who wants that piece of property? The only thing we have to do is make sure that we get enough for each piece of property, that the abstract fees, the attorney's fees, and those type of newspaper publication fees are covered, so that we aren't in the hole. But we'll at least come out awash for a profit on all this. And sooner or later, the county has to address this on a county-wide basis with all these 100 pieces of property. But what Toby's talking about here on the mineral interest at Westport, that's the same process we've got to go through to get property to sell or lease here. And it's going to be a huge undertaking.
Now, will the top and the bottom be different ever at any point? He's talking about mineral.
Right.
He's not talking about top.
No surface
He's
involved.
not talking about surface acreage, just mineral interest.
And it will not be combined.
But you acquire mineral interest at a tax sale just like you would the surface acres.
Okay, what if the top side isn't for sale, just the mineral rights?
That's okay, they still have to do whatever they have to do wherever they're going to enter on the property or drill, just like they would now. So that won't change. They're still gonna have to have some surface on there someplace willing to let them drill.
You have to have permission of the landowner.
Yes, wherever they drill. But at any rate, Toby made me aware of this problem, a week or two ago, and he was gonna explore some things further. And Toby kept referring to getting a title from the state, because in some states, you do acquire a title from the states. You don't in Indiana. You get it like through the tax title deed and the tax sale.
Goes through the judicial system here.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion, we go after these, mineral rights and title to them. We'll get title to them.
I think we should.
Yeah,
I really do.
get them back on the
But
tax roll.
I'm gonna have to get the council approval, because at all times there's gonna be money there laying out, and money there Sullivan County's collecting. Because this will just be done on a rotating basis. I mean, it'll go on all the time.
I second that motion,
So we're gonna pass this on to the council
Yeah.
for approval.
Yeah, and really, I need to, and perhaps Tim as well, needs to go to the council meeting whenever they meet.
So it would be the intent of the commission to pursue it and then to ratify my lease once title is acquired, correct?
Right.
That's fine. I appreciate it, gentlemen.
30th.
I'll get out of your way and let you get to serious business. Thank you.
Ben, you got anything? Just one little thing. I've got a request by Smithville Telephone Company. They want to provide service to Travis Secreast on County Road 325 North. And they need to travel along the right of way for just a short period of time.
I second that motion.
That's all I got.
If you get a chance, talk to Steve Marvin on his cell phone number. He's want to talk with Benji about tomorrow, if you get a chance to talk.
Then just talk to him.
Oh, did you talk to Steve? Okay. Okay, about out of the road or something?
About some.
About a sign. Okay. That's probably it. All right. Brenda, you got anything?
Yeah, I have 3 bonds. One's for Jane. Paul Wilkie.
Any motion to approve these bonds?
Yep.
Make it.
I second that motion.
Just because it's James, don't mean she gets it, right?
She's already signed it.
William Smith.
Wait, John, hand me that one back. He didn't pass it over to me. He skipped me.
Okay.
Got a motion and a second to approve all these bonds.
I don't know how to spell my name, I guess.
That's all I have, Tim.
Okay. You got anything, John?
Where would Tim have, the sign still on order?
They're up.
They're up, down, okay, I didn't know. And I got a call about 350 over there where that culvert is it ready to be covered with blacktop yet?
As soon as Wabash Valley gets in here.
Okay, so I guess they had some pretty good holes in there. Sly Smith called me today and said there was some pretty good chuck holes. I sent Pepper up there to look at it, but I don't know what they, they called me back and said they didn't do anything, so I don't know whether they went ahead and put a little gravel on there.
Just ready, it's all you need to do.
Okay, well, our grader was down, I think.
What's their deadline on Beehive?
You want to know what their deadline is or when they're going to be here?
I don't know what their deadline is.
The 19th.
You gonna call them tomorrow?
Call them today.
What'd they say?
Said they'll be here next Thursday.
That's the
Now,
25th.
legally, you can say that's too late, and their contract's gone.
That's right. You tell them that we're real concerned about that, since that they're coming out here by next Thursday. Call them tomorrow.
I will do that.
Because I might not do that. We'll just hold that off, so, you know, but I think
But
that
their deadline was.
they need to make sure they're here. If we want.
That's all I got here.
Okay. I'm gonna go back to the, get back to Ed here in a little bit and the road closure, but I'll go to this new business, ESPY Services, Amanda and Tony, or you out there?
Yeah, my name's Pat. I'm filling in for Tony tonight. Here's Amanda. Amanda's one of our salespeople. She's been talking to Brenda. We did a telecommunications review for you just about a couple of years ago. And we normally go back to our customers after a couple of years. Give you a couple of copies of the contract. Go back to the customers after a couple of years and have very good luck revisiting the audit because things change. You know, you may have added some phone lines, locations. There's changes that come about all the time. And we go into it, we're contingency based. The county would not pay any money up front, only if we find something. Can I give you an example? On one particular, when we did this 2 years ago, you had just moved an office or changed an office. Frontier, I believe it was, they slipped in what they call 24 call pass, charged you about $50 a month for them. When you didn't have them, you didn't need them, and they were continuing to bill you for it. We got those corrected, got credits for you. That's the type of things that we do. Again, we don't find anything, we don't charge you for it. We just need we've talked to Brenda about this, we just need a signed agreement. It's a very simple agreement. On future savings, it's 50% for a 12-month period. And if you choose to pay them off early, you get a discount. If you pay them off all at one time, you get 15% off. If we find any credits for you, it's 50%. We don't handle any of the money. All the refunds, or if there's checks or whatever to be issued, they come from the vendors. They're posted to your bill, or the county will get a check. We're not a vendor. We don't try to sell you phone service. I don't want to change people's phone service because it's a headache, as you probably know. And you know, again, all we need is a copy of the signed agreement. It's the very same agreement you signed 2 years ago. There's a letter of agency. This allows us to get our customer service records and bills from the vendors. Brenda has that. And then we'll need a copy of your letterhead to put that on, and the front page of any of your bills. You don't have to, she doesn't have to go to the office and make copies. That's it. We get started, and we do the work from our Bedford office. Anything that you approve that we find, you know, we do all the implementation, so you don't have somebody that's involved with a bunch of time.
You have any problems in this, John?
I think we did do this a few years
You
ago.
did
but I don't
2 years
remember
ago.
the detail.
You did it 2 years ago. We found about, I think it came up to about a little over $40,000 in credits or savings. And
But I don't think we followed through with what they told us to do, that we were supposed to buy our cell phones through a government unity.
You were switched to the government plan, and then you could buy your phones through the government entity.
But we never did do that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We didn't follow through
The
on it.
pricing should have been there. It shouldn't have changed.
The price?
You did it, and you're the only one that did it. Everyone else has continued to buy their cell phones where they wanted to.
And you can do that, but it's just that the government pricing that we were really put you on gave you a monthly savings, and then it offered you discounts, which we didn't take any credit for that, but it offered you discounts if you wanted to go get your phone off the government. It's quite a bit cheaper to buy them, because you know, where you got the state government, you know. Maybe
It's just hard to work with them, because you have to go through Indianapolis or someplace like that to get your phone.
Yeah, but the pricing was you can get your phones anywhere you wanted, but the pricing.
The
billing went down.
The bill went down. And the amount that we pay for each individual phone is on this government, because I've got full internet and the whole 9 yards for a certain price, which is a government contract price.
But I'm just saying, we didn't follow their plan, is
Oh.
what I'm saying, the
Oh.
county didn't.
Okay.
Do you want to do this?
Yeah, I think we
Try to recover some
won't
loss.
see if they can find any more. I'll make a motion to go with them.
Okay, a second motion. We go with ESPY Services for recovering lost revenue from the
Okay,
county.
that's fine, we'll be glad to do it. I think it has Brenda's name on it, she can sign it if you want.
Okay,
And
that's
then,
fine.
I didn't know if you brought the bills tonight or not, Brenda, we can get those from you later on.
Okay.
That's fine, we'll take it.
Dustin?
You want us to
now.
contact
All right.
you?
I talked to Dustin last week.
Okay, just
We're-
hang on to that.
We got individual billing for every office in the county. We're looking to upgrade a lot of things.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Each office is individually billed. We're looking at trying to do some fiber optic, trying to run some fiber optic to the jail, and some other courthouse offices. Hopefully, you can explain tonight how much money we're gonna save.
Yeah. So I've kind of taken a brief peek at some of the bills you guys have across the county here. So what you guys have got going on at the courthouse itself, at the jail, and at the E911. E911 is kind of its own beast, but you know, there's 3 or 4 analog lines that come in there that just serve it traditionally. And I just think that there's better ways. Your guys' phone system's pretty outdated, and I was thinking that we might be able to do like a technology infrastructure upgrade, kind of help you guys save some cost over the long run. Put together a little analysis here, kind of show you there's just, since this system's been put in, there's a lot of different technology available that is just will greatly enhance what you guys are doing today. So based on doing some different technology things, you can kind of look at if you just change the things in the courthouse today, you'd be looking at a yearly savings of $16,000 just there, and that's over just a year. 3-year savings about $50,000, and that's just the courthouse. Now, what I was thinking that might make sense, a lot of county governments, I kind of specialize in working with county governments, cities, school systems, things of that nature. A lot of them have fiber optic networks. So you guys have like basically a LAN here that's covering your entire network. Well, if you place fiber to the other facilities, you could cross-pollinate everything you got here. So you don't have to have phone lines coming into one location. You only have to have your internet connection coming into one location. So you can save a lot of money doing that just by having your own fiber between facilities. So usually on fiber placement, it's about $9 a foot is what it costs just on the going market. I was an outside plant engineer for a telephone company for about 7 years. Worked with Benji a little bit. So I got a little familiarity with that, and we could facilitate that and make that happen as well. The only thing about that is that that fiber was placed out there, that would be property of the county. So just like the roads and everything else, you have to worry about somebody cutting it. But you have to relocate it and things like that. But it really isn't that big of an expenditure over time. You could probably get a couple of highway guys that could locate it and do that type of work as well. So I think that there's some cost savings there. So here I got kind of set down, if you put a fiber between the facilities, what you could save over a term by changing a little bit of technology infrastructure you guys got today. So by doing this, you'd be looking at about $2,600 a month, about almost $32,000 in a year, about $96,000 over 3 years. 10 years, about $320,000. So there's some pretty healthy savings there, but you're going to have to spend some money to upgrade your technology to do that.
What I'd like to see is to forward this to the county council and see what they think of this.
I haven't dug into it super depth because I didn't want to spend a lot of time without talking to you guys and seeing if it's something you guys were interested in moving forward with. Gibson Teledata, we're actually headquartered out of Terre Haute, Indiana. Been in business for about 30 years. We work with the Vigo County government, Vigo County schools, Sullivan Hospital, a little bit of everybody. So take care of a lot of big business and small business and the like. There's a couple different options in there.
He can present it to the, I don't care if he presents it to the council.
Yeah.
We get some ideas from different options, see what we come up with, what's the best savings.
I mean, our phone
That's
service
ridiculous.
is terrible in the basement. We need to do some things.
And we had that one presentation from Fred up there.
Just an option.
Yeah, I'll say go ahead and present it to the council and just as an option and see what, and then we can make a decision who we're going with and all that at a later date, but.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Okay, we got the Second public hearing on the Lowe's Road closure. Dick Watkins, Ed Powell.
Roads we petitioned for haven't changed, this is the second. I'll tell you what roads they are. There's a permanent closure of 775 east for 264 feet, for 2,640 feet. We're going to extend the closures on 5 more roads if you approve it. It's 350 south, 1,000 south, 600 east, 750 east, 500 south. They're all presently closed. Some of them are open to traffic, some of them are not. But those are the roads that are closed, and those roads we're asking for extension on.
Any problem, John? Yeah, go ahead. Clear over
Mr.
there.
Cohen, I can only hear out of one ear. You're a little fast. You said 350 south, 1,000 south,
600 east,
600.
750 east,
Uh-huh.
and 500 south. If you, I tell you what, I have all the descriptions and all. If you'd stop by the office, we have to give you a copy of it.
I've got part of the descriptions. Another question. Part of these, you, like you said, you do have closures on. Why, if the roads are closed now, are you wanting to get closure when you already have closure?
Closing expired,
At what date, what date?
I believe, November.
In this November?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And you want another 5 years on it?
Either for 2 years,
Okay, 2 years.
except for 775 east, that's going to be permanently closed.
I saw that one, 775, and that's just a road off of 350.
North.
The-
The 350 north, that just,
775 east,
it's 775
it
east.
runs north off of 350
It runs
south,
south of 350.
and you want it permanently closed?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the
No, it runs
thinking was
north,
that there
it
seems to
runs
be-
north off of 350.
Since-
It would've, or it did.
Right.
You
There
said
seems to be
south.
no reason to have a road there when you're a quarter of a mile off of 159.
159.
And the funds that they're going to expend, they have a place they already like to put another road in.
Yeah, I
That's
just
my
want,
understanding.
that's the only place I could find 775 was right there off of the 159, and you wanted that one closed. Okay, that answered that question. Okay. And highly traveled road, 600 east.
Okay, anybody else got any questions?
Yeah, so what do you get out of the permanent closure, 775?
They have a proposed decree and order and agreement that's been filed up there. I'm sure they give you a copy of it, Lonnie. I don't have it with me, I didn't bring those, I just got petitions. But there's a proposal for the amount of money for the closure of 775.
So guys, what, from your standpoint, what's going to be done with the money from closing 775? How much is it, and what are you going to do with it?
Well, let me back up a little bit. For 775, we're looking at what we've done is to put back what was temporarily 425 south that Kendall had put in when they closed 350. We would permanently put that road back in and blacktop that road.
Which was merely a temporary situation several years ago with Kendall was involved.
So why put that in?
To go back into that, put a blacktop road back into there, those folks that didn't sell out down there. Down there, what is it, Bob Meisner lives down there?
350 is supposed to go back blacktop and.
Yeah.
And what is it, 700 is supposed to go back blacktop because it was hard surface also.
Right.
So.
Just putting that little, that one that they cut out here, what, 2 years ago now? Just putting it back, trading it off for that other one.
I guess I'm asking if you're gonna have blacktop into them anyway.
I'm trying to understand what's the thinking behind it.
775,
I understand why 775, I understand that, that goes right by my house, I know where it's at and why, but I'm just saying, 350 gets blacktopped anyway, and 700 gets blacktopped, correct? Because and 700 will end up being blacktopped from 350 all the way to 500.
Right.
So you're gonna have 3 blacktop roads going into,
I thought you said 750 east. 700 is already blacktop from 750 south going north. That's what was accomplished during the last commissioners. Now it's from 700 south, it's gravel, and 750 east going north, it's mine territory. It's gravel. That's where the trucks run.
in the agreements, if I'm not mistaken, I'm asking if I'm wrong on this, but in the agreements, since County Road 700 was a hard surface road all the way from County Road 500 south all the way to 350 south, and County Road 350 was a hard surface road all the way through, that those all get put back as blacktop, correct?
Right.
So you're going to have 350 blacktop, which is probably, from what Luke was asking the other day, they're wanting to go ahead and put it back in now because it's been over 5 years, with the exception of that little stretch by the cemetery. 700 south, I don't know how long that's been without being hard surface now, or been back in. That's been back in how many years now?
About 2 years.
2, so you got 3 more. That's going to get blacktopped, and then when they finish mining south of Meisner's and all those, it gets blacktopped back down to 500, and I don't know if 500 gets resurfaced, hard surface. It was hard surface also. If it's going to go back out the highway, why are we putting a 3rd road in as hard surface? I'm just wondering what the thinking is. I'm asking. And was it going to be put back in hard surface right away, or was it going to be waiting 5 years?
Be waiting.
So
I mean, next commissioners might, they would put the road back in, the next commissioners might want to put the blacktop somewhere else, I don't know. It's going to take 5 years or so, before, or 10 years, or whatever it is, we got to wait anyway, so.
So what was the thinking behind this?
Just to have the road back in, because they tore it out. Just replacing it.
it was hard surface when the 425.
Yeah, it was blacktop.
Ours was hard surface when they put the temporary 425 in there.
Right. But you're saying you're trading it for 775.
Right.
But I guess,
Well, they have no obligation at all to put 425 back in.
I understand that.
Legally.
I understand that. But
Okay.
you do have the money for 775.
That's correct.
So,
And the proposal was for 425.
who made that proposal?
We,
Okay, and,
We accepted it.
okay, so since you haven't accepted it officially yet, am I making sense here, guys, or am I missing something? I mean, why put 3 hard surface roads into 3 houses?
Well, all the meetings I've been in, everybody down there wants every road in there blacktop.
Now, I don't disagree with putting some blacktop
So-
to some of them, but that you did take out.
You know?
And that's being patronistic to us, and that's being condescending to us, in my opinion. But because there was a lot of them that were hard surface before.
I'm not gonna get into discussion. The proposal's up there is the second.
Okay, I'm not discussing with you now, I'm gonna discuss with you guys. Because you guys are the ones that we've got to see where we're gonna put this money at. Something I'm thinking about is, I don't know how much money you're talking about here, John, or anyone, but, and I don't want to prevent
On these closures.
Bob, Meisner, and them guys from getting the hard surface road back into it because they had them and they deserve them back. 350 to 700, they deserve those back because they were there, and they deserve to have them back. I totally agree with that. but since you're taking this 775 money, why don't we, and you know they're gonna cut a road from Freelandville, you know they're gonna cut that road out from Freelandville to Pleasantville, which we have school buses run all the time, which is a complaint that she said the other day, why we ought to take some of this other money somewhere else. But, you know, once again, I will stand here until the last dog to keep a hard surface road from Pleasantville to Carlisle for businesses like Cowtown, for Medley's Hardware Store, for all those who little businesses like that would love to keep business from people who live in the Pleasantville area there. And to keep the school buses from having to run all the way down around Sanborn, down to Bicknell, and back up to North.
Well, here's the deal, Lonnie, and I'll just tell it in a nutshell. I really never thought too much about the other blacktops being in there. It's just the fact that every time a road goes out, there's somebody in this room screaming about the road being out, and it's going to be out for 10 years. And then, so when they took that road out, my goal was to get that road back in. Now I've got the road going back in, and now I'm getting, why are we putting the road back in? So it's,
well,
if you do, and then if you don't.
I understand where you're coming from there, but why was it put in to begin with? John, you know as well as I do, because they had 2 blacktop roads in their house. And then that was to keep a blacktop road for permanent, always to have those blacktop roads. It got removed and they didn't have one after all. It was defeated. The purpose of having it was defeated. So I understand, but now.
That's why it was put like that, and I mean, I got 4 more meetings. If they decide next year not to put it back in, then so be it. But I just, I'll beat the dead horse here. I mean, I catch hell if I take a road out, I catch hell if I put a road in. There's no winning.
No, come on, John, that's not true.
It is.
No, it's not.
It is.
Anybody else got anything?
I've asked a couple times at the courthouse, who's supposed to be taking care of the Sullivan County plat books this time around? I've got several different answers.
Judy Bengachea was getting somebody to print them up, and she's up at the soil conservation. They're on the north side of the building, up there. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Wait a minute.
I'm done talking about it, Lonnie.
Okay, but.
I hate to be that way, but it's just, dang if you do, dang if you don't.
No, I think you guys have been doing a good job. I'm just asking a question here.